Joining us now is Kastle Systems Chairman Mark Ein. He is the head of the largest managed commercial real estate security provider in America. They have got direct data from their customers in more than 2,600 buildings in 138 U.S. cities. So probably the best authority on this, Mark. It's good to have you on. I was just in Midtown Manhattan the other day. I'm not going to lie, it was pretty grim from an office building perspective aspect. What are the numbers you are seeing in some of America's major cities?
Yeah, so thanks for having me this morning. So we've been tracking the utilization of office space since the pandemic started. And right now, people are back at about 40% of pre-pandemic levels. And as you said, that compares to pretty much 100% or more for restaurants and movie theaters and airports and things like that. The good news is it has been ticking up. 40% is pretty much equal to the third highest point we've been at since the beginning of the pandemic. And we do see it creeping up here since the latest COVID surge has passed. And so there is some hope that it's going to continue to increase as we get closer to the summer.
Yeah, but I wonder, Mark, just as we're starting to come out of the pandemic, hopefully, I mean, I know a lot of people are making a lot about these new strains, whatever, but as we're coming out of the pandemic, we're looking at gas prices. And I thought, my gosh, if you're an employer who demands your employee come back to work, they're going to get whacked in commuting costs even higher because of gas prices. You think that is also a factor in holding certain people coming back to the office?
Yeah, I mean, that is another headwind that now has emerged. On the other hand, I do think business leaders are really eager to get their people back to the office. It's now been 2 years. The connective tissue that we all had from working together over many years is frayed. And I think business leaders feel a huge need to get people back. And in fact, a lot of people want to get back. And so there is momentum to start to get people back in the office. And the hope is that once they're back and they recognize the power of being together in person, that will accelerate and that the numbers will continue to grow.
Can you talk to us about the various, and I don't want to get into the politics of it, and I said lockdowns, not pandemic, Mark, because the whole country suffered a pandemic, but the reality is this, various places handled it very differently. And again, you can get into the political rabbit hole about this or that. I do not want to do that. I just want to look at the facts and the data. But I know from extensive traveling myself that how things look in Houston or Miami or other places is very different than how they look in New York or Chicago. Does the data back that up? Again, not a political comment, but the reality is certain cities handled it very differently. And I've been to places where you would not even know there was a pandemic last year. Yeah, no.
In fact, the data does bear out, Brian, what you said. There have been regional differences in the return to the office since the very beginning, which, as you mentioned, the Texas markets have consistently been above the national average. They're over 50%, and other cities have been meaningfully lower, including Northern California. And for a long time, New York, although New York is now closer to the national average. And we do think there's a lot of reasons for it. Community mindset towards returning to normal activity is clearly one of them, but so is industry composition, use of public transportation. And there's really a lot of factors that we believe have gone into the regional differences that have been consistent in people going back to the office.